Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for.
Indeed it is. It's strange that, because Hugh Jackman almost seems to know that this already is going to be the greatest show on the internet.
Oh, wow.
How did he know this?
Really big pressure now.
I know. Unbelievable. Well, this is exciting,
It is.
isn't it? How long has this been in the making, Mary? Because this has been
Oh,
a lifetime.
This is at least a year in the making, I think.
A
At
year.
least a year. Yeah.
Well, I am very delighted to announce that this is the very first CineChat podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Matt.
And I'm Mary. It's just funny to actually be doing it now.
It is. This was your idea, wasn't it, Mary?
Yes.
Why did you want to do a podcast?
Well, as you well know, Matt, my husband has absolutely no interest in film whatsoever. And I just wasn't really getting the film fix that I was used to getting
Yes.
when we were at university and actually studying, and I felt like it would be a really good outlet
Outlet is the word.
for my film fix for the week.
I think I'm pretty much the same. I am not married. Congratulations on your marriage, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think when you have such an interest in it, it's actually surprising how little most people know.
Yeah.
Because we kind of envelop ourselves in it, it's strange to see other people and they don't really know what's coming out or who certain actors are or any of the news that's come out.
We almost have to be the vessel.
Yes, I constantly tell people news.
And to engage other people and, keep that cinema alive.
Yes.
So we should probably introduce what kind of things we're going to be doing in this hourly. Not hourly, is it? It's a weekly hour-long segment.
Yes.
It's weekly.
It is weekly. We're hoping, for the most part, that we'll have a Sunday recording session and a Tuesday uploading session, so people can look out for the podcast on a Tuesday. And it's going to be a mix of everything.
It is. We've really gone down the variety route here. So we obviously love to talk about films in a really sort of academic and a very serious way.
Yes.
But at the same time, I wouldn't say we're very serious people.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, not that much. There's an element that we want to infuse into this of interactivity and a bit of playfulness. So we're going to have lots of quizzes, game-based interactivity.
Yeah, lots of rankings and news, just a bit of everything, really. That's what we want to get across.
Yeah, so that interactive element is, in a way, hopefully going to be just as interactive for our listeners as it is for us.
Yes, hopefully. We'd like to get the audience involved. So
yeah,
having started, we've got ourselves a Facebook page and we've started up our Instagram account and we're going to be on YouTube. We're going to be on social media, and it would be great to have people write in, tell us what they want to hear, what they'd like us to do.
Whether you agree with us.
Yeah, not likely.
No, I don't know. It could go either way, really. We also have an email address, which is cinechatofficial@gmail.com. You're more than welcome to email us. Let us know what you think. So we should talk about us, really. This is our first podcast.
It is.
How do we know each other?
We met when we were both doing our master's degree in film studies at Lancaster University.
That's right.
I think the best thing we've taken out of it, or for me at least, is our friendship.
Aww.
I don't know how much it was very independent, which I think took me a little bit by surprise, but I think we really gravitated to each other. It was one of the most fun parts of the experience, finding someone who was as interested in film as you.
It's like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. Except completely different.
Because we have very, very different tastes in what we expect from films and what we want to see.
Yeah.
But just the fact that somebody else is as passionate as you is
it was
nice.
refreshing. Yeah, and we were two of a very small group of people who were doing
absolutely
film that year, and even then I think a lot of people were doing sort of TV and film or just TV. So in terms of us being purists and like you say, we gravitated
absolutely
a lot based on that. So you've just mentioned that we have very different approaches to films. What is your history and relationship with cinema? How did you first get into it?
I don't actually know. I just can't think of a time when I didn't watch films. It was something that was introduced to me immediately. And I was always transfixed. It was something that we always did as a pastime. My siblings and myself would watched our favourite movies constantly, multiple times,
Yes,
probably to the annoyance of our parents. Um,
I've been told that.
we went to the cinema a lot, so it's just always been there. And as I got older, it became more of an interest. And by the time I got to 16 and I'd finished school, I knew it was something that I wanted to do more of.
I think what's interesting, what I found anyway, was that when you reach that age and you actually start realizing that this is actually something you can do,
Yeah, but it's mind blowing that you can
study it.
study it.
Yeah,
It opens up so many avenues.
yeah, yeah.
Well, that's kind of leads into the next thing we were going to discuss, which was our very different approaches to watching films.
Yes, this could be a topic of friction.
Definitely.
We're well aware of our different approaches, which I think can only be an advantage to us.
Yes. Things become a little bit fraught sometimes,
Sometimes, only very occasionally.
not to a terrible degree,
Yeah.
but we are very different.
In terms of what you like and what kind of things you consider your speciality areas, what would you say?
Well, compared to you, I have a very big interest in more classical cinema.
Mm,
So anything from the 30s, 40s, 50s, anything with the old Hollywood movie stars from Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn, Judy Garland, Cary Grant. Any of those. I discovered that when I was 16 and I started studying at college, and it just was this whole other world of movies I didn't know existed.
mm,
So for me, that's always been a huge part of my watching routine. Though it has stopped a bit recently, it's something I would like to get back into.
yeah.
But not only that, but we have very different ways of looking at films. For me, it all comes from the heart.
Mm.
I have to feel something for the film. I'm very plot driven. There has to be something happening. So
It's a very subjective viewpoint that you take. If you don't feel like it's affected you and it's not in line with maybe what you were expecting or what you like, then it's more than likely to fall outside of your area of.
I'll give anything a go.
Oh yeah,
There's nothing I would turn down from watching, but there are certain things that I look for, and there's got to be quite a not a heavy plot, but you know, plenty happening. You have a much more academic look at things than I do. You look at everything that's under the surface, how they've made it, and what you can interpret from that. Whereas
Mm.
I do come from that side, but I see it very much more as a spectator.
Yeah,
What it
yeah,
does to me as a finished product.
yeah. We often joke that you are very subjective and I'm very objective.
Yes.
I sort of dissect it all
Yes.
and build it back up and base it all on its individual merits, whereas you would look at, I think, maybe the thing as a whole.
Absolutely.
So, in terms of, you've mentioned your speciality areas, classical cinema, you're very much cinema history, cinema legends and
Absolutely.
legacies and icons.
Oh yeah.
That makes you a really good film fan,
Yes.
whereas I don't think I am. I hate the word fan.
Yeah, you have a very critical standpoint as a film critic, whereas I come much more from a movie.
Snob.
Definitely not. I'd say you're more snobby than me. I think I come from
You
the.
dislike more than me.
I think I'm getting worse as I get older. I think
Yeah.
there's less that I'm able to tolerate. But saying that, I think I have a wider variety of what I do enjoy. It's more of a popcorn movie, whereas
Okay.
you look for more of a drama and something that would be awards worthy, maybe. And
Light-hearted stuff is fine so long as it's got substance.
yeah, but you just don't get a lot of substance from popcorn movies.
If there's nothing I've gained from it,
Hmm.
apart from just passing the time, I think films can always be cleverer.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So my speciality areas then,
Mhm.
whereas you're classical, I'm much more contemporary.
Yes, absolutely.
21st century stuff,
Yes,
I would say I've got pretty
you're
down.
trying to work backwards, but
I
new
am.
stuff keeps coming out all the time.
That's it, yeah, trying to keep up whilst watching old stuff. I like to be able to comment in the moment about what's coming out
Yeah.
now. But as part of my attempt to watch more from the past is my Oscars watching.
Mm.
I'm on a mission to have watched all the Oscar winners, which
You're doing pretty well.
yeah, we'd had what 91 years of Oscars now.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been working backwards. I call them the top six. So you've got your best picture, director, and then your four acting categories. I've tried to watch those top six backwards, and I think I'm in like 1982 now or something like that. I think I'm around Sophie's Choice and Gandhi. Um, yeah, so I'm big on Oscars. I'm big on contemporary filmmaking, 21st century stuff. But we're going to get into all of this.
We are.
Quickly, just a note about how the format's going to work. We've already said we do lots of different types of segments within the show. We're going to do reviews, reactions, some more close analysis and case studies, mixed in with more fun, interactive top 10 lists, a few battles and debates maybe, some quizzes, Q&As, things like that. You might find that I speak more in one episode and Mary speaks more in another episode. That's depending on the overarching theme of each week, which we have been pre-deciding, haven't we?
Yes.
How far in advance have we gone?
Well, I think so far we're up to mid-February, I think, because we've got award season coming up, and we do intend to extensively cover that.
It's going to be intense.
Yes, we do have a big interest in that, so that will be a lot of the coverage from December to February. We'll be covering all of the nominations, the award shows, reactions to those, predictions for the next and upcoming award shows. So we will be covering all of that.
A few non-award topics along the way as well, though, isn't there?
There is. We do have a very varied interest in film, so we've got lots of ideas for all sorts of different topics to cover. So hopefully there'll be something for everyone. Well, we've got Christmas coming up, so which is my favourite time of the year. So my Christmas calendar is made, and the movies start on the 10th of November, all the way up to Christmas Eve. So no doubt we will discuss that at some point.
I'll let you lead on that.
And hopefully we'll be discussing some of the more relevant things: Netflix, streaming, the future of cinema as it stands at the moment. The Disney takeover is coming up. So we're hoping to talk about some relevant things and what we think about those.
And don't forget my favourite thing of the year, which is the top 10 of the year list at New Year.
Yes, we've seen almost everything that's come out, and I have seen a very small portion. So yours will be much more interested and varied than mine, I'm sure.
So each week we're going to have a bit of an agenda. Obviously, this week we're doing our sort of icebreaker for the first half of the podcast, and then the second half we're going to have a catch up of what's happened in 2019 so far. What we're also going to do each week is we're going to have our weekly news roundup. It hasn't got a name.
Just the news.
The news. But before we get into that, I have set us 5 icebreaker questions. Have you had a good time scribbling away?
I have. I think you'll find them quite predictable.
Yeah, same. Should we jump in question 1?
Go on then.
This is the typical question that we get asked all the time.
Yep.
What is your favourite film and why?
Okay. So my favourite film has always been Titanic. There isn't really a why to this. I've just always been absolutely fascinated by it. As a child, we had one of the really big A3 DK books on it. It was an information book, and I just was always absolutely fascinated. And then obviously the film came out in '97, and it just blew me away. And I've seen it umpteen times. I studied it for my master's degree. It was my dissertation topic. I don't know. It was just, there's something about it that is just amazing. It's so minutely detailed, down to the sets, the costumes, the everything, the history. I can't say that I'm a huge fan of all James Cameron's films, because I'm not. But that film just was next level.
One thing that happened recently for the 100th anniversary of The Thinking was they did it in 3D.
They did. It made another billion.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. I went to
Crazy.
see it in IMAX and 3D,
That was stunning,
and
wasn't it?
normal as well. Oh, it was fantastic. It was
Yeah.
absolutely fabulous. It's the only IMAX film I've ever seen, I think, and it was so worth it.
Yeah.
It was so worth going.
The scale of Titanic is immense.
Oh, absolutely. Saying that though, it's not a film that I watch all the time. It's still my favourite, but there are others that creep up there that I would watch a couple of times a year, 2 or 3 times a year, and I don't watch it all the
That's
time.
really interesting, because not always your favourite film is the one that you'd watch all the time.
It's 3 hours long, so it's quite
Yeah.
quite a time to carve out to sit and watch it.
You have to like really commit.
Yes, exactly. What about you? What's your favourite film?
Now, this is funny because we say this is a really typical question, but I'm not sure if mine is a very typical answer or not.
Probably not. Nothing with you's typical, Matt.
I don't know. Is it not? My answer is either something that people are A, really surprised about,
Yeah.
or B, they're not surprised whatsoever. My definition of favourite in this context, I went on something that I consider entertaining, feel good, and has sort of a limitless appeal.
Yeah.
That film is, of course, Pretty Woman.
Of course.
Of course. One thing I really love about Pretty Woman is that genre-wise, it's simultaneously an adult drama, but at the same time, it's a fairy tale, it's a comedy, it's a romance, and it was also released on the in the turn of the decade from 80s to 90s, so it
Yes.
has a really sort of strong 80s flavour still in it.
It's got the feel of an 80s movie, but
Mm.
the actual story has remained a classic.
Yeah, I think so.
It's never got old.
Let's talk about the soundtrack. I
Oh,
mean,
it's
come on.
fabulous.
I mean, from the second you get King of Wishful Thinking in the opening
Yeah.
credits, I mean, right the way through to the end, you've got Roxette belting out "It Must Have Been Love," and everyone's crying.
Amazing song.
Yeah,
Captures the era as well.
it does. Yeah, this film really belongs in this time period, but at the same time, it sort of transcends that time period. There's a really beautiful score as well by James Newton Howard. I think I heard it at your wedding.
You
At the
did.
time, I was trying to get your attention, but you were too busy being married.
Sorry about that.
But let's talk iconic sets, costumes, scenes, and it's endlessly quotable.
Oh, it's classic.
Almost everything about it was like it was designed to stand the test of time. It's incredible what they did.
Oh, it's memorable. It's also memorable. I mean, the red dress
And the
with
shopping scene.
the necklace and the shopping scene, which is my mum's favourite. Yeah, that laugh,
Yeah, she's infectious.
fabulous.
Yeah, and that launched her career.
Oh yeah, absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah, and her range in this is incredible. She's relatable, she's funny, she's lovable, she's heartbreaking at times. You know, she's vulnerable, she's strong, and I think that's really testament to what she does, and it's effortless how she does it. And she was nominated for an Oscar.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's why Pretty Woman is my favourite film. Question 2, Mary. What film can
Yes.
you absolutely not stand, but everyone else seems to love?
Okay, I've got a few. There's a few that I just don't understand the hype at all whatsoever. One of them is 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Mm.
It is one of the most boring experiences I've ever had. It was
It is long.
real hard work to get through that one.
Yeah.
The Godfather, I
Mm.
just don't get it.
I agree with you on that one.
I don't get the whole masterpiece status. I don't understand really the love for that one. It totally went over my head.
Yeah.
And Pulp Fiction. I am not really a big Tarantino fan.
Mm.
So no, didn't do a lot for me, that one. My film studies teacher at college had a huge love for that one, and I watched it and I was like, why?
Sometimes I find when someone likes something so much and tries to force it on you, you get resistant, even if it's something that you do
Yeah,
enjoy.
you like the hype of it. I think that sometimes I don't watch things straight away because of that.
Yeah. Well, I've put something very similar here. More than anything, I
Go ahead.
dislike it when films they're raved about, almost to the point where it's just cool to rave about them. The idea of these, what people call classics, I don't think they're ever as good as people say they are.
I don't hate them. I just would not ever watch them again.
Yeah. Like we said earlier, I'll watch anything,
hmm
but things that stick in my mind. One, the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet.
Really?
Yeah. I have memories of them putting it on in school, thinking it was going to make Shakespeare more relatable. It was just unbearable to me at the time. I imagine Shakespeare would be turning in his grave.
Probably, but it had Leonardo DiCaprio in it. What more do you need?
It was just listening to it, I think. It was the American accents with the Shakespeare language. I'm all for experimentation, but to me it just didn't gel. It felt really forced, and
Too much.
a real discord between what was being said and how they sounded. But I'm open to watching it again.
What about the second one then? What's the second
Oh,
one?
this was really recent. This is John Wick.
Really?
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed
But
John
you've
Wick.
only seen John Wick 1.
That's true.
John Wick 1 is completely fine. I've written John Wick chapters 2 and 3. Don't get me wrong, the action in all of these films is fantastic. It's brilliant. And John Wick's very good at setting up sort of like this mystery, in the sense of we don't really understand fully what world we're in, what the rules of this world are. And
Yeah.
But going on chapters 2 and 3 didn't give me those answers. I felt like it was
Yeah.
a lot of time invested that was sort of wasted, and I just didn't get it. Everyone was assassins, like even the homeless were assassins, and supporting characters come in and out. It's not clear who they are. Often they turn out not to be who they say they are anyway, so it didn't matter. It didn't ever explain fully
Yeah.
what was going on and why. That
Okay.
substance needs to be there for me. So yeah, John Wick 2 and 3.
Okay, so what's question 3?
Question 3. What's one film you haven't seen that makes everyone else go, "Oh, you haven't seen blank"?
Okay, so I'm going to go with The Departed.
You haven't seen The Departed, have you?
I haven't seen The Departed. I feel like I should have done, and it's been on the list for a long time,
You haven't seen The
but I
Departed?
haven't seen it. Yeah, exactly. There you go. And you said that to me just before we started this. So yeah, that's my answer.
I think a lot of people, the reason they gasp when they hear that you haven't watched something that they have is usually because of a childhood thing. We all grow up with different films, so there are a lot of them, and they seem to be sort of 80s films, not necessarily kids' films either.
Okay, now I need to hear these answers.
I've never actually sat down and watched Die Hard.
Oh my god.
I've never watched Hook.
What?
Most of the Indiana Jones films, The Karate Kid.
Oh my god. Matt,
But to me, I didn't grow up with them.
you need to do some homework.
But the thing is, I could tell you absolutely everything that happens in Die Hard. So there's no rush for me to go out and stick it on. Does that make sense?
Die Hard is regarded by quite a lot of people. I don't agree, but it's apparently the best Christmas film of all time. If that's at the top of a list,
But
you
it's
have
not
to watch that one. Oh, it's not mine either.
I could probably recite the plot to you right now, and I feel like it has been on somewhere whilst I've been in the room, but I've not been the one to sit down and watch it. I'll get it done this year. Saying that, I have recently watched some other ones that people would gasp at. Home Alone, I've now seen. The Goonies,
Oh,
Stand By Me, I've now seen. But I feel like in some way I've still sort of missed the bus with those ones. You know what I mean?
that's a list of classics there. I love those movies.
I'm all for the 80s, and people love 80s films, but they're not my
Oh, they're fantastic.
go-to necessarily.
Oh, I love 80s movies.
But yeah. Anyway, got that out of the way.
Okay.
There's lots of films that a lot of people might gasp at me, but I'm going to gasp right back at you for all the
Probably.
things that they haven't seen. So bring it. I'm getting sassy. Calm me
So
down.
number 4.
If you could invite 3 people from the film industry, living or dead, to dinner, I assume that's in the evening. I call that tea. Who would it be and why?
Ooh, I had to think about this one because I have about 6. So it's very hard to kind of put it down to 3. One of them is always on the list.
Yeah.
And that's Steven Spielberg. Has to be on the list. I love Steven Spielberg movies. And I would just have to have him there to talk about movies.
He's an all-round family entertainer.
Exactly. And on the same sort of note, Martin Scorsese
Yeah, I
as
saw
well,
that coming too.
which is strange because I am not a Martin Scorsese film fan.
Yeah.
I'm not really into gangster films and things like that.
This is going to be mentioned next week, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And I thought this, you like the man more than the films, right? I think
I do,
I like the films
absolutely.
more than the man. Not that I don't like the man.
I love his encyclopedic knowledge of film, his love for film, the passion. I could just sit and listen to him talk about it for hours. But his films, not all of them are to my taste, really. And the third person, I really had to think about this because there was like 3, and I really had to try and narrow it down. So unfortunately, Julie Andrews and Audrey Hepburn didn't quite make the list.
Oh no.
I went with Judy Garland.
Fair enough.
Because I just adore her.
And she wasn't around when you were alive as well.
No, I mean all of them. I love them all pretty much equally, but I think Judy Garland is just.
Yeah, you love her.
She's just. I do. I did my undergraduate dissertation on Judy Garland, and I just absolutely lapped up everything I could watch and listen to, and just everything. And it just made me like her even more. So yeah, it would have to be her.
No major surprises there then.
No, not for you.
Interestingly, I also went for 2 directors and 1. I say this, I haven't actually picked my third one, but my first 2 are directors. Number 1, obviously, Christopher Nolan's coming to my dinner party.
Yeah, I knew that one was coming.
I just think you could have the most engaging, intellectual, philosophical conversations about time, space, memory, morality, reality, perception. Just he's such an out of the box thinker, and him and his brother, who do a lot of the writing for his films, are just
Amazing concepts.
I think they're amazing. No more to be said there. And I put Alfred Hitchcock. I think that would be hilarious because he's so quirky and unusual.
Yeah, that would be a dinner and a half.
He's a mastermind filmmaker, really radical for his time. He pushed boundaries of what was acceptable, I think, and what you could achieve in terms of how you make your audience feel. His choice of source material as well, I think, was great.
Yeah.
Psycho, Vertigo, Rear Window, The Birds, Rope. These are books, plays, all sorts of different stimulus that he's used. And yeah, just to sort of get an insight into his thought processes and his methodology would be really interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a mad one. My third one, I don't know. I struggled, so I just wrote down someone I really fancy. I don't know. I just hope that something.
So Tom Hardy's coming.
Tom Hardy's on the list. I've got James Dean, Andrew Garfield's definitely invited. Even Anthony Perkins is here. I love a good psycho.
Really?
Yeah, early Anthony Perkins. Yeah.
So which one are you going to narrow it down to then?
I don't know. I mean, there's more on here. Syrian's here. Dame Julie. I've got Rachel Weisz. I've got Rowan Atkinson, Maggie Smith, Heath Ledger's here. I think because we didn't get to see him very much, let's put James Dean. James Dean's coming. I feel like we'd hit it off.
I think you'd have an extremely interesting dinner.
Yes. Yeah, I guess so. Alfred can do dessert. No, actually, James can do dessert for reasons I won't disclose on the podcast. Yeah.
Okay, so what's question 5?
The fifth question is, it's not really a question either. It says, recommend a film that most people won't have seen.
Okay. Mine is Sing Street.
Love Sing Street. Yes.
Yes. It came out a few years ago and it wasn't a big film. It was a small Irish indie film and it was just fun. It was
I agree.
fantastic. It just had such a feel-good feeling and there was lots of recognizable faces in there, but then there was a lot of new ones that were up and coming and it just had
Great
such
music.
a lovely feeling about it. Yeah, the music's fantastic.
It was fantastic. It was in my top 10 of that year. I think it was probably 2016 or something.
Absolutely brilliant film. More people should see that because it's just brilliant.
That is actually on my list. We should also mention we're going to make this a regular feature, this question, aren't we? We're going to recommend something every week.
See if we can recommend some good films for people.
Mine, I'm going to try not to let it take over. This is the topic of my first dissertation and the end of my master's dissertation. It is, of course, Cloud Atlas.
Of course it is.
3 directors, which is very unusual. We've got the Wachowski siblings, who are most famous for The Matrix, and Tom Tykwer, who most famous for a film called Run Lola Run. How do I sum this up? It's 6 stories, completely separate in genre, setting, and time period, ranging from the 1800s to the 23rd century, I think. They unfold simultaneously. It's just really, really, really complex and clever. I think they really pulled it off because the book's structured very differently. So I really like that. It's a film about storytelling and it's a film about cinema as well as being about so much more. But yeah, loads of people are in this. You've got Tom Hanks, Halle Berry, Hugh Grant, Jim Broadbent. The entire cast you can find in each of the different stories, and they play different ages, genders, races. There's some incredible hair and makeup work going on, which should have been Oscar nominated.
Definitely.
I just think it's super clever. Yeah, I love it.
Wow. Okay.
That's our 5 questions. We need to talk about. Well, we're going to go into our weekly news now.
Yes.
Are you ready for it?
Go on then.
Cue the news. There we go. So, what's been happening in the news, Mary?
A fair bit this week, actually. So Robert Evans died this week. He was a big 70s producer, saved Paramount in the 70s. He got The Godfather made, Love Story, Chinatown, quite a lot of iconic movies.
Love Chinatown.
He died at 89, I think, this week. And then we've got a few new casting releases. So you've got Oscar Isaac is to star in Paul Schrader's next film, The Card Counter.
Okay.
Andrew Garfield is starring in Lin-Manuel Miranda's directorial debut, Tick Tick Boom.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's going to be in that, which is interesting. Anything Andrew Garfield does. The most exciting casting news for me is Rachel Weisz is planning
Yes,
to play Elizabeth Taylor
so
in her
excited.
AIDS activism
This is going to be so good.
biopic.
Rachel Weisz is so
Yeah.
underrated. I'm sorry.
Oh,
She's
absolutely. She is.
fantastic, and she seems like the loveliest person. Best power
Yeah.
couple with Daniel Craig.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely adore her. I would have been very happy if she'd have won an Oscar this year as well.
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I could have quite happily seen that. But Elizabeth Taylor, I mean, she was such a character.
Yeah.
So that is going to be really interesting to see. And then we've had a few kind of confirmations, you could say. There's a Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse sequel
Yes.
set for 2022. I'm really excited about that. I was surprised to enjoy it as much as I
Same.
did. I
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed it, and I didn't know I had heard all the hype beforehand. So I wanted to see it because it was getting such rave reviews critically, not just from audiences. So I went to see it and loved it. So this is really exciting.
I'm not huge on superhero films necessarily, or animated
No,
films.
you're not.
So it was a real surprise to me that I found this to be a real breath of fresh air.
It's really high on your list for the year, isn't it?
Somewhere. I won't say where.
Yeah. The other confirmation this week is that Peyton Reed is back to direct Ant-Man 3. I know you're not a big Marvel fan, but for Marvel fans, that's exciting news because the first two films were very good. But the most exciting news for me is that Sarah Jessica Parker has revealed that all three stars of Hocus Pocus have said yes to being interested in joining the sequel. There's been talks about a sequel for years.
If it was me and I was one of the original cast, I'd be like, I wouldn't want them to do it without me in it.
Exactly. You can't make a Hocus Pocus
film without
them in it. So I'm really excited about this because there was actually a sequel being planned as a TV movie and none of them were going to be in it, which why would you make that? So this one is actually going to be on Disney Plus, apparently, the new streaming site for Disney. So yeah, that's exciting news. And then the other news was that the Academy have changed the way that they're voting and watching is going to be.
This is for the international feature film, isn't it?
Yeah, well, not only that, they released that earlier in the week that the voting for the best international feature film, you could now watch it on their own private streaming.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. They're now doing it for Best Picture.
They are, yes. That was announced this morning. They've actually extended it for that and animated shorts as well, I think, is on
I don't know
there.
if I'm surprised. I thought in a way that maybe they already did this.
I think it's going to be something that they just keep adding to. I think they'll do it, and then they're just eventually going to be streaming all of the films on there. It's the reason apparently that they've done it is to be more environmentally friendly. But really, I think it's logical and it makes more sense, especially nowadays with streaming becoming such a big thing. I think it makes sense to do it that way. It's probably going to be easier for them, and it's easier for them to keep track of who's actually watched what, because now, especially with international film, I don't know about Best Picture, but with the international film, you have to have seen all 10
which is genius.
films to vote.
You should have to have
yes,
that anyway.
because people were not. Yeah, it was amazing to me that people could vote and they hadn't seen all the films. You just wouldn't think that would be allowed. So I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely, yeah. Agreed.
And that's the news this week.
Yay! Oh, can I add one more thing?
You can.
So Empire added their list of anticipated films for next year, 2020 preview. Have you?
They did. Can't believe that's out already.
Has anything caught your eye from their list? I think it was like 90 odd.
Do you know?
Films on that list.
I feel like I'm getting more skeptical about things the older I get. So there really wasn't a lot on there that I would say I would get excited about at this stage.
I've got the list in front of me now, and I'm having a look. There's a lot. If I were to pick sort of 5 that are on my radar, 1917, Sam Mendes' World War One.
Oh yes.
I love how they're doing it all in this one take.
It's going to be really interesting to see.
Love stuff like that. It's very Dunkirk meets Birdman, so that's right up my street. There's Bond 25 coming out, No Time to Die.
I am not up to date with Bond, so that's not big on the agenda for me.
I don't know whether we're expecting it to be good or...
Oh, okay, so I've got one.
Have you?
I've just thought of one. Yes. A Quiet Place 2.
Yes. Yeah.
I absolutely loved A Quiet Place. Last year, it was my favourite film of the year, and I know you talked about power couples before, but I'm sorry, the best power couple is Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. They are the coolest couple going. I just absolutely think they are amazing, and that film was just incredible.
I did enjoy it.
So I'm thoroughly looking forward to the next one. But John Krasinski is coming back to write and direct, which I was very excited about because he wasn't sure he was going to do it at first. And I think if you're going to have anybody do it, he's got to be the one.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
To come back and do it. So that for me was exciting.
Obviously, Christopher Nolan's next film, Tenet, is coming out, and it's kept very under wraps.
Yeah, we don't know anything about it really.
It's going to be some kind of international espionage thing with a twist, I think. There might be time travel, maybe. I like the title it's a palindrome, so it reads the same way backwards. So that's maybe a hint as to maybe what kind of thing it's going to be. Interesting cast, not necessarily people that I.
Some new people in there.
Yeah, he usually does the same sort of players, but we've got Robert Pattinson, John David Washington, and Aaron Taylor Johnson, who actually I quite like, amongst others. So yeah.
Ghostbusters is coming out as well.
Ghostbusters 2020.
It is, yeah. Jason Reitman, the son of the original director, is directing this, which will be quite interesting.
Yeah,
I think that's quite an interesting choice, obviously, because he'll have been brought up with Ghostbusters on a personal level. So yeah, that'll be interesting.
Another remake here, The Witches.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about this. I just don't know. I can't get on board with a Witches remake. I just can't, because the original is just. I mean, Angelica Houston. My sister was terrified of that as a kid.
Yeah, when she pulls her face off, I'm gone.
I loved that movie so much. We watched it a lot when we were kids.
Same.
And I just don't find Anne Hathaway scary. I love Anne Hathaway. I absolutely love her films.
It's going to have to be a very different take on it. I think.
Yeah. I just don't find her to have a scary bone in her body, really. She's just lovely. So I can't picture it at all. So that's going to be really interesting.
Be definitely interesting to see.
Anything Emily Blunt's in, I will see. So I will go and see Jungle Cruise, as much as I think Dwayne Johnson is completely overdoing it and he's trying to be funny and it's kind of not.
Yeah.
But I will go and see it for her because she's just fabulous.
Yeah. The only other one I can see here really is West Side Story, Spielberg's redo.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to see it, haven't you? You've got to see it, but I'm not entirely sure. Oh, I tell you what I would like to see, actually, because I've seen all of them and I will see any that come out, is The Conjuring 3 with the original cast back. So yeah. So it's but the Conjuring films tend to be of a better quality than the spin-offs, and
The Nun wasn't very well received, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was.
I saw that one coming.
Film. Yeah, it wasn't a great film, and probably I think the Disney films that they've got lined up, and Pixar. So they've got the Onward film for Pixar, and there's a film called Joy, an animated film coming from Disney. Any Disney animated film is going to be one to look out for. So probably them. But like I said, I don't really get as excited as I used to about films that are coming. I tend to get excited as I'm going to see them.
Sometimes it comes
I don't
in
really
phases.
I don't really get as excited now as I used to. I tend to just kind of, I'll see that when it comes out, and I'll get excited right beforehand.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's the news.
That's the news.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to spend the last sort of 20 minutes or so. We're going to have a catch-up of what's happened in 2019 so far.
Including a quiz.
Oh, and a quiz.
Which I'm not at all prepared for.
Oh, okay. Let's briefly go over some of the big releases this year and what we
Yeah.
thought. Do you want to start? What's on your?
For me, Judy was right up there. Not because it was the most amazing film,
No,
because it's not. It's a fine film, but Renee Zellweger is just
superb in that.
she just takes that to a different plane.
Yeah,
Whereas the rest of the film's just very average. It's an okay film, but she is in a different movie
yeah,
entirely.
yeah.
She is just amazing, and she's the front runner for Best Actress
She's
as
got
far
to
as
be,
I'm
hasn't she,
concerned.
so far?
Oh yeah,
There's not
absolutely.
been a whole lot, really, actress-wise. That's
No,
made
not
me.
yet, which is unusual because there
Mm,
usually is.
yeah.
But this year nothing really has come up yet. So that for me was a big one.
I mean, every now and again, don't get me wrong, I saw a few sort of Bridget Jones-isms here and there. She was still a bit
Yeah.
Renee Zellweger here and there, but
Well, it's very hard to become Judy Garland. For me, I looked at it a lot more critically than probably a lot of other people would have done because I know her so well. I watched everything, I listened to everything, I watched all the interviews, I knew how she sounded, and I knew about so much about her.
yeah,
So for me, it was more of a
the fact that there
critical
was a
view of
film
it.
about her as well.
Oh yeah, I was going to see it
Yeah.
definitely. But for me, it was perfect except for the singing.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
I kind of was taken out of it with the singing because it was too well done. Because at the time in 1968, Judy Garland could not sing the way that she had sang due to all of the abuse, basically,
Yeah.
that her body had gone under up to that point.
I appreciate that she did it all herself, though.
Yes, she
Glad she
did.
did that.
But it didn't kind of match what it should have been
Yeah.
for me. It should have been raspy, and she couldn't hit notes. And I mean, people still went to see her because she was just a phenomenon. But the voice wasn't there as it had been, and for me, it was too pristine.
There's probably an element of trying to appeal to
Yeah,
the
so it just
audience.
took me out of it a bit.
Yeah, no, I see that. Another film that was released in the same week as Judy was the global hit Joker.
Yeah, you were really big on this from the very
second the
beginning.
trailer came out. In fact, probably even
Yeah.
since Joaquin Phoenix was announced, I thought they're going somewhere with this. You could just tell.
I took a lot of convincing on this one.
Yeah, even to just get you to watch the trailer took about 4 months.
Yeah,
Please just watch it. You might change your mind.
I'm not a Joaquin Phoenix fan, so for me it was like, well, I'm not really interested in that, and I don't really see the need for a Joker film, so I wasn't really interested in that.
Funny, really, because it turned out in the end to maybe be one of the most relevant films that's been released.
Yes,
in
absolutely.
years.
I did actually, I did enjoy it when I went to see it. It was a very clever film. I
Yeah.
think it's had a lot of reviews that have gone one way or the other, and a lot of them are extremely critical. I don't think a lot of that's valid, though. Really,
I think what it did surrounding the subject matter was brilliant. It seems like it's been taken the wrong way by a lot of people.
Absolutely. I think more in America than here.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously speaks a bit more to their healthcare system as well, and as well as other.
Yeah, so they've taken it a lot more personally than we would.
The fact that a film is
here.
addressing mental health, nail on the head.
Yeah.
The media.
Yeah, it was extremely relevant.
And Joaquin Phoenix is superb. I think that's one of the best, most committed performances I've seen in quite a long time. Getting little goosebumps now. Yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Very well done to him. I'm sure he will have a lot of success.
I think so. I think it'll be a big year for him.
Yeah.
The other big release of the year, well, the biggest release of the year and of all time, is Avengers Endgame. Highest grossing film of all time, overtaking Avatar.
That's wonderful. I mean, well done.
I know you're not into all that really at all, but it was something else. It was the culmination of 10, 11 years worth of films, of which there's about 3 or 4 a year every year, and it was worth the hype.
Can I tell you my main gripe with Avengers Endgame?
Yes, I know there were many.
Just one main one. One main one is that. So, like you say, it's a culmination of all these films that have come before, and it did a lot of sort of referencing to other films and things like that. I had put in the time to watch every single other film yet I still didn't get the payoff that everyone else was getting in the cinema.
Yes, but was that because you not as interested in comic book movies, and because you hadn't invested the time in terms of years? You watched them quite close together, and there wasn't that investment in time
No, I don't think
that
it.
other people had.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's not a secret that I'm not as into them as other people are, but I get fan service to the degree of, you can drop a few things here and there, but to me the whole film was just obscure fan
Oh,
service
yeah, it was.
references.
It was. I mean, there was things that had to be in there, and
I don't think they had to be in there.
yeah, but they did, and it just worked.
No,
It
I'm
was just
disappointed because it alienated me as a viewer. I wanted to be able to come in just like everyone else. I bought a ticket on opening weekend. I went, and I just felt like I was excluded from the club. There was nothing for me to. There was no shoe in for me to enjoy it because all the time it was references that, oh, this is a boy who turned up 7 years ago briefly for one film, and everyone's like, oh my god, it's the boy. I'm just like, what boy? And I'd even watched the film, so I just, yeah, I didn't enjoy. They made Thor fat. They spent like what 10 years or so building up all these characters, and the big payoff of one of the main ones was just that he sat there looking depressed. I just thought to treat your characters that you've meant to have spent so long building up, they made Hulk some kind of weird social media star. What is that? I was just rolling my eyes. I didn't believe that they were taking it very seriously.
I think some of it may have gone over your head, but we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. What about what
What a waste
about
of character.
I do agree with you to a point.
Thank
What
you.
about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I really enjoyed it actually. I most of all I enjoyed being in that world that he created. The production design I thought was crazy.
It was.
I believed it.
I didn't enjoy the length. I just did not think it
Sorry.
needed to be like 3 hours long or nearly 3 hours long or whatever it
Should
was.
get that on a
I
t-shirt.
just
I did not enjoy the length. The time didn't bother me as such. At times maybe I was thinking, where is this going? But I wasn't bothered
that was
by
an
it.
issue for me. That was an issue for me because I just thought it all just seems like little. There were little bits that all seemed to be put together, and there wasn't exactly much point to them, and it was on his part. It seemed like he was just doing exactly what he wanted to do,
Maybe.
not necessarily what should have been done.
Like I said, I was enjoying being in that environment. I felt like I started to understand the geography of it all. The more we spent with them driving and being at different sets and houses, and I really so to me, the longer it went on, I wasn't bothered because I was enjoying being there. So
I think it'll get quite a few nominations for below the line production design, things like that. I think it's probably got a good shot at some of those.
interesting if it got some bigger ones. Like Tarantino's not had any success director wise. His films haven't had any.
I wouldn't want him to get a director nomination for this. I think there's other more worthy people.
Yeah, and it's like he's so well established now that he's not actually doing anything new anymore. We know what he does, so it's not a surprise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get that. Should we briefly cover like one or two more? Should we go to the animation world?
Yes.
Let's talk the Lion King.
If you can call it animation, I don't exactly think it's animation personally, but okay.
Well, it's not real.
You know my views on The Lion King. The 94 version, yes, the 94 version was my favourite Disney film growing up. It's no longer my favourite Disney film, but growing up it was my absolute favourite, and I watched it hundreds upon hundreds of times. And this just was so far short of the mark.
It is a shame because it did fall a bit flat.
Oh, it was just a waste of time and money.
But the thing is, I think it had to fall flat. That subject matter with this style was never going to be an over-the-top, funny.
It was never going to beat the
Yeah.
original. I mean, I think everybody knew that. But for me, it didn't do anything original. Like the other adaptations have had their own little flares that have made it their own. This had nothing. It
Yeah.
literally just it even like copied the script almost
The
word
script
for
was
word
nearly
in
word for
parts,
word.
and
Yeah.
the camera shots were exactly the same for the most part, and it was just, well, you're literally just copying it. Why are you remaking it?
The only thing I can praise is the effects.
Oh yeah, absolutely, they're
I think
stunning.
maybe that's the best looking film I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah, it's stunning, and what they've been able to create is unbelievable. I mean, there was nothing there. They've created it from nothing, but it's it's not enough for me
Yeah,
personally.
like I said,
just
it's a
not enough.
shame that it had to happen to The Lion King, in a way.
Yeah.
I still came out and really enjoyed it. I don't think I.
Oh, a lot of people did. It did very well, but for me, it's not one I would ever need to watch again.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. So yeah, do you fancy a quiz then?
Go
I'm
on
so
then.
excited to give you this quiz.
I know.
Never written one properly before.
Yeah, I've had a go at one, and it's it is quite difficult.
Yeah, I think you're going to like this.
I'm not very confident that I'm going to do well with this.
But you know what's even better?
Go on.
He's
then,
only
what's
gone
that?
and got sound effects.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
Okay.
it's going to be tense.
Yes, I'm already a little bit tense.
Cue the music now.
Okay.
Mary,
Yes.
question 1.
Okay.
Starts easy, don't worry. Name the highest grossing film of 2019 so far.
Oh, good. I can do that one. Avengers Endgame.
That is correct.
Oof, okay, one so
1
far.
point. I'm
That's
keeping
good.
track. There's a few questions that have a bonus point, but yeah.
Okay.
Number 2. James McAvoy has starred in 3 films in 2019. Name them.
Oh God. Okay, so It Chapter 2 is definitely one.
That is one.
I think Glass came out at the beginning of the year.
That is one.
Oh God. Oh, I can't think of the other one. Oh yes, no, I do. Dark Phoenix.
Correct.
I didn't see it though because it looked pants.
I think it was alright, actually.
Okay, I might watch
It
it.
had a really classic X-Men flavour.
Okay, well I might watch it then.
Correct. Right, question 3.
Okay.
5 of the top 6 highest grossing films of this year were produced and distributed by the same company. Name the company. It's part 1.
Disney.
I'll give you, Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. Correct.
Yep.
Bonus point, can you name all of the 5 films?
Oh God. Okay. So we've got Avengers Endgame,
Correct, that was number 1.
The Lion King,
That was number 2.
Toy Story 4.
That was number 3.
Did Aladdin make the list?
Aladdin was number 6.
Oh. Okay. I'm trying to think what else came out from them. What else has come out this year? Captain Marvel.
Correct. Hooray.
Oh, look at that! I'm doing all right.
Very good. Okay, question 4.
Okay.
Name 2 films released this year that have 2-letter titles.
Okay. There's It.
I'm not counting it, sorry.
You're not counting It? Oh, okay.
If this was 2017, you would have had a point.
That's very unfair. Okay, well, there's Us then.
There is. There's one more.
I don't think I know the other one.
You definitely know it, but whether or not it's going to be in your mind, I don't know.
Oh, no, it's not. No.
Half a point? I'll give you half a point.
Okay, go on then. What was it?
I'll tell you at the end.
Oh, okay.
Ruins other answers for you in the quiz.
Okay.
Question 5. We're halfway. Within the top 100 highest grossing films of 2019, there are 5 films with man in the title. Can you name 3 of them?
Oh, this is not fair.
We're not including the film Isn't It Romantic?
Oh, I've gone completely blank. I can't think of anything.
You only have to name 3 of the 5.
With man in the title. Okay, so the Spider-Man Far From Home.
Correct.
That's on there. Oh God, okay, my mind's gone completely blank.
Oh, this isn't looking good.
Oh no, it's not. I can't.
I'm gonna have to push you.
Any of these. Oh no, I can't. It's just all gone.
fail.
It's all gone.
I can't give you a point. Sorry. We're moving on. I'll give you the answers at the end. Question 6. Which film has grossed more? This is as of Saturday, the 2nd of November, by the way. Rocket Man or Downton Abbey?
Oh God. Oh, well, this is just 50-50. I haven't seen either.
A few £1,000s in it. Or dollars.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I'm gonna go with Rocket Man. Just.
As of yesterday? Correct.
Oh, yes, okay. There we go.
Bearing in mind Downton Abbey's only just come out and Rocketman's been out since about April, May? I don't know when June?
What can I say? People love British servants. They do.
Question 7. Who has appeared in the most films this year so far? Jessica Chastain, Samuel L. Jackson, or Keanu Reeves?
Keanu Reeves.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Incorrect.
Is it Jackson?
There is Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, I was going to go with that one.
Glass, Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, Shaft, Spider-Man Far From Home.
God.
I wasn't going to give you the answers, was I?
That's okay. I like to know.
Okay. Which film is longer? It Chapter 2 or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Oh, gosh. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That is incorrect.
Oh, you're joking.
There's 8 minutes in it, and It Chapter 2 is the
Oh,
longest.
God. Well, I tell you, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood felt longer.
It's funny, really, that, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm.
It Chapter 2 was 2 hours 49, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was 2 hours 41.
Oh, God.
Nil point for you, Mary.
Oh, not doing well.
Question 9. A little bit of a throwback, this one. Which film, released in January in the UK, won the Oscar for Best Hair and Makeup at the 2019 Oscars?
Oh, that's not fair. It's been such a long time since January. Hair and makeup. Which one won? Oh no, I can't remember. That's very off-putting. Please don't do that. I'm gonna just have to go with the favourite because I can't remember.
Oh, I'm afraid that's incorrect. The correct answer is Vice.
Oh God, of course
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, I've completely blocked that film from my memory. Oh well.
Last question. Might be easy.
Okay, go on then.
So, in Joker, what is Joker's real name?
Oh, Arthur Fleck. Fleck. Arthur Fleck.
I'll give you it. Go on then. I think you kind of got it correct.
Thank you very much. I'll take
Just
that.
to backfill some of the answers I didn't give you at the time. 2 films released this year that had 2-letter titles. You got Us. The other one is Ma.
Oh God. Okay, yeah.
5 films with man in the title. You got Spider-Man Far From Home,
This was my worst answer, so go on.
Aquaman, Rocketman, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I was gonna say that one, but I wasn't sure whether that was this year
Yeah.
or last year. I thought Aquaman was December. I wouldn't have counted that one.
Either way, it was the top 100 highest grossing films of this year, so they were still making money in this year.
Yeah. Oh, well.
And Gemini Man, which has just come out.
Oh yeah, of course.
So sorry, nil point.
No, not good. I even said Rocket Man in one of the answers, and I didn't get that.
You got Samuel L. Jackson wrong. You got the timing of the films wrong. You got Vice wrong.
All right, I get the idea.
I think you got 6.5 out of 11 there.
It's not awful. It's not awful. Could be a lot worse. I now know what difficulty to make the quiz for you, which is good. So just get ready for that one.
No, it's meant to be a challenge. This is how we learn. So now we know how well you've been paying attention in 2019.
We do.
Let's summarise, shall we?
Yes.
At the end of every episode, we're going to say which film we are going to watch next. So what have you got on your list?
Well, this kind of goes into what's coming up next week. We are discussing all things Martin Scorsese. So the next film I watch is definitely going to be one of his. I'm probably going to go for the worst one first for me. So I think it's probably going to be Taxi Driver for me. That's a rewatch for me. I haven't seen it for 12 years. So I didn't like it. I didn't like it when I saw it. So I'm hoping I'll have a better reaction to it this time. So I think that's the next one for me.
Okay.
What about you?
Probably. I am going to watch a couple of Scorsese's for next week, but I don't know if it'll be the next one I want to watch. I really want to see The Farewell.
Oh, yes.
There's a film called The Peanut Butter Falcon that's just come out with Shia LaBeouf in, and I think that actually looks pretty decent. So maybe that one.
Both interesting choices.
What was the last film you watched?
The last film I watched was yesterday. I went to see Doctor Sleep at the cinema.
Oh, I thought you meant yesterday, the film then.
No, not yesterday. I haven't seen that one yet either.
It's quite a confusing title, that.
Yeah, no, so Doctor Sleep was the last one I saw.
Any good?
I definitely needed to. I definitely needed to sleep on
Yeah.
it because I'd only just finished the book the day
Yeah.
before. In preparation for it, it's extremely different. Quite like The Shining and the original Shining film, they are very different from the book. They changed a lot. But with Stephen King's blessing. But I don't know how I feel about it really. I'm very undecided. As a film, it's probably pretty average. As a horror film, it's not particularly scary. I found it a little bit patchy in places. It didn't quite connect and flow quite as much as I wanted it to,
Yeah.
and some of the changes were not my cup of tea. I thought it was better in the book. So yeah, it was worth watching though. It was definitely worth watching.
Cool. The last film I watched was last night. I watched Good Boys.
Oh, so we both watched a film with Jacob Tremblay in
Oh,
yesterday.
is he
then
in that?
he is in Doctor Sleep. Yeah, very small, very traumatizing part. But yeah, so that's what a
Yeah.
coincidence.
No, I actually really enjoyed it. Laughed a lot, but it's that kind of close to the knuckle kind of humor that you're not sure whether you're meant to be laughing at it. But
Or not, yeah.
yeah, really enjoyed that. Yeah, recommend.
Oh, good. I'll have to put that on the list.
Very funny.
So, should we tell them where they can find us?
Yes.
Lots of places now. If it all works,
Mm.
then you should be able to find us in a number
Yes.
of places.
Mainly, we have now our Facebook page, which sooner or later we'll have all our links to different social media outlets if the internet will allow us. And if you're already listening, you're probably already listening on Spotify, iTunes, or Spreaker, or you might be listening to us on YouTube as well.
CineChat or CineChat Official.
Also Instagram. We have an Instagram. Basically, if you type it in and look for the blue logo, you can't go wrong.
Yes, you can't not find
We're either
us.
CineChat Podcast, or CineChat Official.
And like we've said, we've already told you we've got an email address,
Mhm.
which is cinechatofficial
At gmail.com.
Oh no, not co.uk. Oh, nearly told them the wrong one then.
All those emails going somewhere else, Mary.
I know, that would be terrible.
All those
All
hundreds
of
of
emails
emails.
we're going to get. Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah,
we should call it a day.
we should.
Okay.
We'll be seeing you next week. This will be next Tuesday, and we will be talking all things Martin Scorsese in honour of The Irishman. Thank you for listening. I've been Matt.
I've been Mary.
Well done. See you next week.
Bye.
Good day.